At the age of 8, a boy in London claimed he saw a tree filled with angels. Years later, he said the spirit of his dead brother appeared to him and taught him a new way of printing. Most people dismissed these stories as the fantasies of an eccentric. William Blake never stopped believing them. He spent his entire life turning those visions into poetry and images, building a complete symbolic universe in which imagination was not entertainment. It was the key to reality itself. William Blake was born in London in 1757. He became a poet, engraver, and painter, but above all, he remained a visionary. From childhood, he insisted that a spiritual world existed beyond the material one. These experiences shaped everything he later created. He lived at a moment when Europe was moving from the Enlightenment into the Industrial Revolution. Blake rejected both. He criticized the cold rationalism of thinkers such as Locke and Newton, and he saw industrialization as the beginning of a dehumanizing age. Against the mechanical view of the universe, he set a mystical and intensely symbolic vision of his own. At 14, he began a 7-year apprenticeship with the engraver James Basire, a respected craftsman connected to the Society of Antiquaries. There, he mastered the technical skills of engraving, drawing, and painting with unusual precision. As an adult, he invented his own method, illuminated relief printing, that fused text and image on the same copper plate, which he then colored by hand. Poetry and picture became inseparable. Blake spent long hours in London bookshops, which in the late 18th century were lively meeting places for artists, radicals, occultists, and mystics. The most important of these was the shop of the publisher Joseph Johnson. Johnson published writers such as Thomas Paine and Emanuel Swedenborg, and he quickly recognized Blake's talent, commissioning engravings and inviting him to gatherings of writers and artists. When that shop, Blake encountered the works of Paracelsus, Hermes Trismegistus, Thomas Vaughan, Robert Flood, Agrippa, Pico della Mirandola, and many others. The decisive influence, however, was Swedenborg, the Swedish mystic who claimed to converse with angels and who taught that true reality was spiritual, while matter was only a temporary illusion. Blake attended meetings of the New Jerusalem Church founded by Swedenborg's followers, and for a time was even a member of the Swedenborg Society. He promoted Swedenborg's ideas, yet gradually moved beyond them. He respected Swedenborg as a genuine visionary, but felt that the Swedish mystic remained trapped in a rigid moral dualism of good and evil. Blake wanted something freer. He came to see human imagination itself as a divine spark, an extension of the creative power of the universe. Although he moved among radical intellectuals and revolutionaries, Blake never became an atheist. He considered himself a Christian, but of a deeply heterodox kind. He believed early Christianity had been a religion of imagination and inner freedom that was later distorted by dogma, politics, and materialism. To most of his contemporaries, he seemed eccentric. London society largely ignored or mocked him. He lived modestly throughout his life. Only in his final years did a small circle of younger artists and patrons begin to recognize his genius. Full recognition came after his death, when symbolists, occultists, and scholars rediscovered his work. There is no firm evidence that Blake ever belonged to a formal esoteric order or was initiated into Freemasonry. Yet his knowledge of occult philosophy and symbolism is unmistakable. Some historians have pointed to the proximity of his training places to important Masonic institutions in London. His friendships with known Freemasons and the clear presence of Masonic and Hermetic symbols in his art. Whether or not he was formally initiated, the nature of his work is profoundly esoteric. He did not write treatises on magic or alchemy. He created something rarer, an entire personal cosmology. For Blake, imagination was not mere fantasy. It was a spiritual faculty capable of connecting the human mind with the infinite. He expressed this in one of his most famous lines: "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite." The physical senses, he believed, give us only a limited version of reality. While the Enlightenment reduced knowledge to what could be measured and touched, Blake placed imagination at the very foundation of existence. He saw the cosmos as an interconnected whole in which the human mind, the microcosm, mirrors the divine universe, the macrocosm. He identified Jesus Christ with the divine imagination, the creative principle within every human being. This led him to a theology that many have called Gnostic or Hermetic. Like the ancient Gnostics, he distinguished between a lesser god of law and matter, associated with Jehovah or Elohim, and a higher spiritual principle of forgiveness and creative love embodied in Christ. In his system, the biblical fall is an allegory of a cosmic accident. Humanity, originally united with the divine, becomes trapped in the limited perception of the senses. Redemption comes through the awakening of imagination. Blake expressed these ideas through a dualistic vision of heaven and hell that is not about afterlife destinations, but about states of the soul. Heaven stands for law, reason, order, but also for dogma and repression. Hell stands for energy, desire, passion, and creative chaos. Desire, for Blake, was a divine force. Reason could either organize it or crush it. This opposition took mythic form in two central figures: Urizen, the old god of abstract reason and oppressive law, and Orc, the rebellious spirit of passion and revolution. The tension and eventual reconciliation between reason and imagination, order and energy, runs through his entire mythology. He developed this system over more than 30 years, between 1789 and 1820, in a series of illuminated books: the Book of Urizen, the Book of Loss, America a Prophecy, Europe a Prophecy, Milton, and above all, Jerusalem. In these works, he never separated poetry from image. He spoke in pictures and painted with words. Once sometimes, in Jerusalem, he gathered all the elements of his vision into one vast prophetic structure. Its central characters form a complete symbolic cast: Urizen, abstract reason, law and authority, the force that separates the mind from living imagination. Orc, vital rebellion, creative desire, and the fire of change. Loss, the archetype of the creative artist who labors in his eternal forge to restore a broken world. Inatharman, the feminine principle of emotion and inspiration, mother of Orc. Albion, the primordial human being before the fall, the integrated soul that later fragments into the four Zoas. Other figures such as Vala, the Veil of Illusion, and Rintra, prophetic wrath, complete this cosmic drama of fall, conflict, and hoped-for redemption. One of Blake's most recognizable images is the Ancient of Days. It shows Urizen leaning forward, measuring the darkness with a great compass. In traditional symbolism, the compass represents the divine architect ordering the universe. Blake gives the image a different meaning. The demiurge appears burdened, almost descending into matter as he imposes geometric limits on the infinite. The golden circle around him remains incomplete. For Blake, reason and order are necessary, but only when they serve vision and imagination rather than imprison them. William Blake was a complete creator, poet, painter, mystic, and system builder. Drawing on Hermetic tradition, Kabbalah, and Gnostic ideas, he reshaped them within a personal Christian framework. He placed creative imagination at the center of spiritual life and opposed the dominant rationalism of his age, without falling into simple irrationality. He sought a higher synthesis, a poetic reason capable of reconciling opposites. His greatest achievement was to take the esoteric legacy of the West and remake it not as a scholar, but as a myth maker. He turned ancient symbols into living images and prophetic narratives. In an age that trusted measurement and machinery, Blake insisted that the real work of the spirit is to cleanse the doors of perception and see the infinite. Thank you for watching. If this exploration of Blake's visionary world resonated with you, leave your thoughts in the comments. I will see you in the next video.